Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inside Out Conversations, where we have a space where we teach people, coach people on how can they evolve as leaders. And for people to evolve as leaders, two things are really important. One is how do they evolve from within, and the second one, how are they being perceived by the outside world, which is the personal branding aspect. So today with me is our wonderful guest, Mr. Charan, a personal brand consultant, who's with us, and I'm going to fire him with a bunch of questions on why clarity is important and it comes before branding, the why behind brand. Charan, welcome, and I'm super excited to have this conversation with you.
Hey Manju, glad to be a part of this conversation with you again. I'm really excited. So, what's in store for me?
Okay, so we're going to hit to the core of branding today. We have had a lot of conversation about why you'll have to focus on self mastery, which is them evolving as people, and what aspects of personal branding is important. We've been bisecting different things in the previous episodes, and today is about why behind the brand, the code, what do people stand for, and why is that clarity important before they go on creating visibility for themselves. So let's just start with the basics, Charan. When it comes to personal branding, why do you think that clarity is important? Let's just start from
See, forget personal branding as a aspect for once and just simply expand it to the life cycle itself of a person. When we are doing something, we always need to know why we are doing what we are doing. Okay. And that clarity helps us get to make us do what we are doing in a far more effective manner. The same applies to when it comes to applying yourselves to building your personal brand as well. So there's nothing very magical or very different here. We are just extending about how one evolves in their life to the aspect of their visibility in the personal brand as well.
right. Sensible. Whatever we do, we have the clarity. I think we will just go in depth. Now, when it comes to personal branding, what does clarity really mean? And when they do not have the clarity, how does it backfire? Because I know of a lot of people, I keep connecting with a lot of professionals, and I sense that there is a very wrong understanding of what clarity is or what branding is. Most often people have this misconception that go out, create content. We do not know why are we even creating. We have had this conversation before as well. We end up becoming influencers and we don't even know why are we influencing people, right? So from the branding perspective, tell us what clarity means, and when that is not there, how does it backfire?
Okay. So to illustrate this point, let me take the example of Ranveer Alabadia. Okay,
Mhm.
because he was in the mix of a storm uh, for a cause. I don't want to discuss the cause of it, but
Right.
then when we look back at that incident and think about why people got very angry with Ranveer Alabadia, so it is because he had constructed his brand in a particular way, and
Right.
people perceived him to do certain things and not do certain things. Okay. And when he went about being a part of it, probably in hindsight he might have regretted it, but then when he went about doing something which did not appeal to the brand he built around himself for over the years, the people who actually vouched for him retaliated. That's because people got confused.
Right.
So you cannot be that way. So Ranir Alabadia experience is more about when you have established something and then you are making a fool of it is the experience there. But then when we are wanting to establish something as a personal brand for ourselves in the public domain, we need to have the clarity on what are we representing and how are we going to represent ourselves in the public medium. That is very important.
Now, take it to a person who is stepping up into a leadership role or is wanting to get promoted to the next level. And when they do not craft their brand very well, how does it backfire for them?
See, plain and simple, okay. Why are we wanting to create visibility for us? Why are we wanting to create personal brand? It is for us to uh, expand our network and get more people, probably in the domain that we are in, to connect with us. And the idea is to connect with people whom we have never met so far.
Right.
It's not about just connecting virtually with somebody whom you're going to meet at your workplace daily. It's not about circling under the same set of people. It is to expand your network and connect with people with whom you have never had a conversation before. And for you to establish that conversation with the people whom you have never met before, there needs to be a visibility created on the digital spectrum. Okay. So let's say you are, as a person, a very serious guy when you have a conversation with somebody. Okay. But your digital presence establishes yourself as a person who cracks a lot of jokes, or he brings in a lot of funny analogies. And that's a kind of a perception that people might have about you, those who have not met you or have spoken to you in person forever. Okay. Not even once. So when that kind of a persona is built about you on the online space, then the moment they come and meet with you, then you are a completely different person for no fault of yours. Okay. So that gives a very stark impression about you, which actually tend to backfire for you. I'm just talking about one aspect of it, but then just to make the point, I'm just limiting myself to that aspect of it. So how you are in real person need to extend to how you are as a person on the digital space as well.
Right. I think combining the previous answer and this, the whole objective is to expand your network, meet more people who are not there in it, in your network already. So in that case, when they meet, they should not get surprised. It should be an extension of who you are, and it has to represent you and what you stand for in the social media. Brilliantly said. Now, can you also give me an example, Charan, of a person? You don't have to take the name or the company or the designation, but give me an example of someone who built visibility without the clarity, right? Which means that they have already made a bit of noise. And what are the challenges that they faced?
There are people. See, when somebody approaches a person to help build visibility for their personal brand, it is not always a person who comes to them who has not tried something on their own.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who are like in the position of, hey, I have not tried anything so far on my own, and I want to start from scratch. Okay. So those are some people who are like, they have an idea, I want to go about it, but then they want to take a expert's help on how to go about it. Okay. This is one category of people. There are also people, just like you said, they come to it wherein they come to have a conversation with a personal branding consultant at a point where they have tried to do things on their own, and things haven't worked in their the way they expected.
Right.
Could be on various angles. One could be like, probably they thought, if I start putting out content, my network will increase. Probably it didn't increase for them. Or
Mm-hmm.
they thought the content that they are putting out is going to resonate with so many people, but it hardly resonated with anybody.
Right.
Okay. Then probably they thought, uh, being in a different way or trying to catch on a trend that is running on in the public space. And if
Mm.
I try to share my opinion about all the trends that are happening in the public space, probably today I talk about cricket, tomorrow I talk about ISRO landing an aircraft, I mean ISRO landing a rocket, then day after tomorrow I talk about politics, then the fourth day I talk about something else. Probably a lot of people think like, if I binge, or if I tag myself onto the trend that is happening, probably my goals are getting achieved. So these are things which people try to do, and I have seen people who have come to me who have tried to do these things. Again, it is because of the fact that they are not very clear of why they need to do what they need to do, and they
Mhm.
just go about doing things on their own. By their own means, by their limited understanding of it. And sometimes they get some success around it, but a lot of times they don't.
Okay, now there are quite a few people. I don't want to name them. Then the whole brand is built on confusion because they represent too many things, right? Say, but they, as you said in the previous answer, that they do find some success, right? You might have handled clients like that who are into different verticals. They have like different personas being projected on social media. Now, when somebody like that comes to you, what is your take as a brand consultant?
See, always the first conversation that I want to have with anybody who is reaching out to me or having a conversation with me is, keep aside whatever they have done so far. That is for me to look at it and review it as a offline activity, probably after having a conversation with them, or in sometimes before having a conversation with them. But what I would want to speak to them about is understanding, why are you wanting to build your personal brand? When I'm saying why, what is your goal? Are you
Right.
wanting to land a job? Are you wanting to land sponsorships? Are you wanting to do paid engagements? Or are you wanting to be invited to events in your domain where people consider you as a topical authority and they would want to listen to you? Or probably you want to start a business on your own, and you want to build your personal brand as a prelude to that aspect of it. I'm just naming a few of the variations, but then there are a lot more depending on individuals own interests and requirements. So
Right.
depending on what is that why, I want to understand that why. And sometimes people may not come prepared with what that why is, but at least if they are open to have a discussion around discovering that why, then it is good enough to put some real effort, tangible effort into that direction of making that why into a reality, into a possibility.
Right. That also becomes easier for you to understand the client. And they also, when they come face to face with the professional, sit with them, they also know what directions they're not really thinking. Right? Do they have the clarity about their absolute why? Okay, wonderful. So we spoke quite a bit about having the clarity. Now let's dig a little deeper into this clarity. Now, there are quite a few people who do a lot of mistakes around defining the personal brand. And as you said, once people come in, they are you ask them what is the why. You sit in council with them so that you understand what they stand for. Right now, there is personal values, and then there is certain goals. Right. Most often we project ourselves a certain way for the goals, and then there are personal values. Now, when there is a disconnect between the two, how do they arrive at a conclusion, this is what I stand for? And have you had clients like that? And then give us examples, how do you sort it?
Um, See, there is this phrase called playing to the gallery, right? So people try to think, I am a particular way, but if I put myself out in a particular way, then probably I'm going to achieve my goals in a more faster manner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't say that that is 100% true. Probably it works for some of the people, but it
Right.
is always a matter of chance. It's not a matter of surety. Okay. You may hit, you may miss. Okay. But there is one thing which you will never miss is for expressing yourself as your true authentic self. What do you
Mm-hmm.
mean by true authentic self? For example, let's say somebody is into sport. I'm just taking the example of somebody is into sport. When I
Right.
have a conversation with them on picking them into my team, okay, a lot of people tend to say I'm an all-rounder.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that really mean in a lot of senses? If I call myself an all-rounder, I might get picked for the team in one way or the other. If they have too many batsmen and I could fill in as a bowler, then I could fill in. Or if there are too many bowlers, I could fill in as a batsman, then I could fit in as well. But the real challenge is what they are looking at portraying themselves is how do I make the cut into the team rather than how do I express myself as what is my real strength. So if my
Okay.
objective is how do I make myself cut into the team, then you're playing to the gallery. You're saying you're an all-rounder, then probably when they're asking you to do a trial, they will know that you are neither a batsman nor a bowler. You are a little bit of both, but you are neither an expert on anything. That is
Mm-hmm.
worse. Rather than telling, hey, I am a right-handed middle order batsman. That's a very clear positioning about who you are. You have a clarity. Then
Right.
they ask you, okay, so you're telling you're a right-hander middle order batsman. Okay, let me give you an opportunity to perform there. Or probably they may come to you asking, like, I don't have the middle order to provide you. Can you play up the order for now? Or can you play down the order for now? So the conversation is around they understand you're a batsman. That's your strength. The
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
conversation is around how am I going to play you. When you're saying I'm an all-rounder, okay, can you try to bowl? Can you try to bat? Can you try to field? They try to experiment with you. Then they figure out you're not good at anything as they expected you to be for an all-rounder. Right.
Right.
So
Mm.
that's the difference about it, and that's why we need to not play to the gallery on what is an acceptable choice for others, but we need to look at expressing whatever is our strength. Maybe they don't have a spot for us for our capability now, but they are very clear that we are stating our capability properly, so they will come back to us later.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. When you explained it with an example, it just made it even more basic to quickly understand. Now, you said when they know that they are a batsman, now they have a better chance because they identify themselves as a batsman. Now, let's come back to a leader, somebody who's evolving. When they do not know or when they are confused about what they stand for, I'm sure as a brand consultant, you come across meeting such individuals. So, now, what's a simple first step that they can take towards achieving clarity by themselves? One is them coming to a professional like you. So you ask them the right question. You have that inquiry process so that you take them to arrival of a certain clarity. But if they are starting it all by themselves, because say if you ask a professional like me, I would like to have something on paper before I come to a professional, right? So what are the simple steps that they can do, they can take or ask themselves?
So before they come and interact with somebody with me, what are all the things that they can do? Is it?
Yes. Say if a person is confused about who they stand for as a person, what are the basic things that they can do to discover that clarity even before they come to a professional for digging deeper?
See, usually what happens is people don't express whether very clearly that they are confused or they have something. See, usually what happens is people never approach from a position of confusion. They always approach from a position of perceived clarity. The reason I'm using the term it as perceived clarity is as far as they are concerned, they are very clear.
Right.
The same thing applies to a doctor, right? So I have a problem in my leg. I think the problem is because of ABCD reasons, but it is the duty of the doctor to keep aside all the things that you ramble about which are not relevant and try to actually probe you into the right direction of what could be the problem with your foot, right? The
Yeah.
same thing when you come with a perceived clarity. The challenge or the task of a personal branding consultant is to not to tell them that they are wrong, but is to validate their perceived clarity is really the real clarity. So it is
Right.
not always like somebody will come and tell me like, "Hey, I'm confused. You come and solve the problem for me," because it puts them into a position of weakness in trying to have a conversation, and they don't do that. Even if they feel it internally, they don't say it. So they talk from a position of clarity and strength from their own perspective. That's why I use the term perceived. So we need to unravel that. So whatever you're saying as your strength, is it really that strength? If
Hmm.
not, you need to go about it. You need to go about doing ABCD things. If I feel that, hey, that is really their strength, okay, then let's have the conversation about how do we go about expressing this. Let's talk ABCD on that angle of it. That's how it works. Nobody comes to a person asking, or nobody wants, probably they would want to connect with a person like you on a personal development aspect of it and try to understand and validate whether their clarity is spot on or missing. But somebody who comes to me, they never say that they are confused.
Beautiful. I think that example was absolutely spot on. When you say perceived clarity, a lot many times we think that is true, and then we operate from that reality. And that's why I think I would definitely recommend coming to the professionals to kind of sit through, see things clearly, and then take a call. Because personal development, I think. People keep evolving, but how people are being perceived from outside is far more important in the professional world today. Okay, now we have digged enough into clarity. Now I want to see how we can get into the strategy part. Charan, I want to tell you about a conversation that I recently had. We were three people, and it was a very, very wonderful conversation we were having with a business owner. One was me, a coach. Another one was another personal branding person, a mutual friend, and the third person was a business owner. So we were speaking about, how can you evolve, self master, and all of that. And the personal branding strategist that who was having leading the conversation, he told a lot of things about vision, mission, strategy, but it was at a very high level, right? So the business owner was actually finding it a little difficult to wrap his head around to understand, okay, where do I even start, right? Now, a person has come with a perceived clarity, and then they have come to you, you have dig deeper, and you have understood, okay, this is the value of the person, this is what they want to position themselves as, and then you have like a baseline. Okay, then how do you make it a strategy afterwards?
See, in my approach, okay, when I have this conversation with somebody in trying to understand their purpose, I always try to work down from the goal to what you need to do on day one. Okay,
Right.
let's say for example, there is a person. um, this has happened in the past. I'm just taking that example for reference. There is a person
Mm-hmm.
whose objective or whose goal is to land a new job,
Mm-hmm.
that gives them better pay, that gives them the position or the designation that they are looking for, and they are in the driver's seat in terms of the opportunity conversation, and not like they are asking for a job and the other party is at the driver's seat. So basically, this is what they are wanting to do. Okay, so now when you put this as a okay, this is my goal, then we need to realistically look at, for this person to achieve this goal, based on what they are or where they are currently in terms of their presence or in terms of their expression in the public domain, we will have to define a timeline. Okay, this might happen in 6 months for somebody, this might happen in 1 year for somebody, this might happen in 1.5 years for somebody, or this might be a goal. I've worked with people where their goal is to uh, going from a senior leadership to helming the position of the top, like the top position there. So
Right.
those kind of things, the goal might be a 3-year plan. It is
Mm-hmm.
not even 1 year or 6 months or 1.5 years. It's a 3-year plan. So
Mm-hmm.
depending on the goal, depending on the person's position currently, and depending on where they are wanting to go, then the duration of how it needs to be executed is mutually discussed and arrived at. Then the duration is arrived at, then we need to look at, okay, for this duration, how are we going to strategize on what are we going to do on a quarterly basis, what are we going to do on a monthly basis, what are we going to do on a weekly basis. So that brings it down and breaks it down into further smaller chunks, and that's the way it brings it. And it is very difficult to land the smaller thing on what they need to do in a week without having this larger clarity, because they get all confused.
Okay. That's wonderful, and that's very sensible as well. Now, if somebody comes to you, they have been branding themselves, putting their opinions out. They're positioning themselves a certain way. They are having a voice in the social media, say in LinkedIn. Let's just keep this discussion to somebody who's looking at growing in their career, who's just looking at taking the next big leap, right? See, what are the biggest mistakes that you observe based on the people who have come to you when they translate their clarity into a strategy?
No, let's not look at from only from the context of the people who have come to me aspect of it, because the point is not about only the people who have come to me, because then the problems are very limiting to a certain experiences and certain expressions. Let me just open it out to the larger context of people who are wanting to do that itself. Okay,
Mhm.
so given that context of it, first, when we are doing things on our own, we shouldn't get carried away on what is that platform representing. LinkedIn platform is definitely not a Facebook platform.
Which is slowly becoming one, though.
I mean, it is okay if it is becoming one though, but hopefully people are not thinking it is Facebook because of you. We should make
Mhm.
sure that that is the case. Okay,
Absolutely.
it may be becoming a personal opinion sharing platform, but it cannot be our personal opinion sharing platform. So
Right.
so when I say a personal opinion sharing platform, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be opinionated. I'm not telling that I'm against being opinionated. It is that on what are all the aspects that I'm having an opinion. If I am a person who is into a political policy, then I can have an opinion about the political decisions that are happening around in the world. I can talk about Gaza, I can talk about Ukraine, Russia, I can talk about US, I can talk about Donald Trump, etc. But if at all, what I am doing or the kind of responsibility that I'm holding in a particular organization for which they are paying me for does not relate to the things that I like to say, then we need to restrict ourselves to the domain that I can say. If I am a developer or if I am a product manager, then the world is around product for me, or trying to draw inferences from anything around the world, but bringing in the conversation back to the aspect of product. That is very important. So if you're all over the place with respect to your personal affinities, personal subscriptions, personal alignments on various aspects of it. It could be politics, it could be cricket, it could be religion, it could be so many things. It could be region, it could be language. If you're not a person who is authoritatively a person to comment on that topic in some way or the other, then it is better to refrain ourselves from commenting on those topics, because it is not going to do any good for us in the longer run.
Right. For
In
the
fact, it
purpose
is
of
going to,
while we're staying in the platform, it doesn't serve the larger good. Okay.
yes, in
Get
fact, it might serve counterproductive to you, because for the fact that in a very what do you call planned manner or a very strategic manner, people in global organizations, when they are looking to hire people, they are looking into the social media presence of the people that they are wanting to hire. It does not mean that, hey, I am on LinkedIn, I am saying something and I am being very clean about LinkedIn. Probably on my Instagram and my X platform, I could say anything that I want. No, even there is a problem. Okay, there are a lot of people. I'm sure you might have come across. There are a lot of people who lost their jobs or who were put into a lot of difficult positions because of the opinions that they shared about Charlie Kirk's death. So these things tend to happen, and we cannot let the emotion of the things that we ascribe to take the better of our logics.
Okay. I think that in itself is one of the biggest strategies. How we approach it is a different story, but then not just putting all our opinions out. We'll have to be responsible about creating a certain kind of an image for us. Okay. Wonderful. Now, the question that I asked you previously, I said, hey, based on the people that who have come to you, the objective of me asking you something is most often, from what I have seen, at least in personal development industry, is they try working, and when they hit a rock bottom and they know that, hey, you know what, it's not really working all by myself. I think I need to hire a professional. Most often, people come to me at that stage. Now, for brand consultant, is that usually how people come in? Is one question that I have, which is a yes or no question for you. Based on that, I'm going to ask you another question.
It is yes for some people, but it
Mm.
is no for some other people also.
Okay. Okay. In that case, being authentic, being goal driven about the perception that we want to create, being strategic, and also including storytelling part, creating a narrative of this is how I want to project myself. How do you all stitch it together, Charan?
See, plain and simple is, as I took the example of the doctor front, right? We may have a problem with our body, and we may go keep on rambling to the doctor. Okay, but the doctor doesn't care about our rambling, but the doctor only cares about, in the middle of those ramblings, what are all the symptoms that the person says that contributes to the problem this person is having. So it is their duty to pick out the symptoms around it and then act on it, right?
Mm.
So in a very similar manner, you may want to tell 10 things, 100 things, 1,000 things. That is one aspect. But then you may not be in a position to be able to know, how do I articulate it, how do I say it? See, I may be a very good subject matter expert as a professional, but then that does not mean that whatever the content that I want to put out may be resonating with the people that I want it to resonate to. Let's say if you're wanting to be a better person in, if you're wanting to grow in your career, then uh, your capabilities in a particular domain need to resonate with the people who are looking to hire you. So it cannot be always a technical content or a domain oriented content. It needs to tie itself down to a larger goal, which people who are in positions like, for example, HR, or for a hiring manager. So these are the people may not necessarily understand the depth of your technical expertise, but then if you are able to articulate things in a way where it is resonating with them, they might consider you, hey, this person, what this person is saying about this topic makes sense. Let us go have a discussion with this person and try to see if this person is going to fit the bill for the position that we have in our organization.
Right.
So that aspect is there, and more often than not, people by themselves cannot translate these ideas or perspectives into such articulated content pieces on their own. And that's where people like me come into the picture and help them take it from this to that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. The overall objective or the overall, roadmap of, starting point to reaching to a place where they have their personal brand, it's all about how clear we are on what do we want in the first place out of the platform and how do we want to project themselves, and being responsible enough to create the visibility to the right audience and not just be visible for multiple things. So when people see your brand, they actually are able to understand who you are as a person, what they stand for, so that it end of the day benefits you the purpose. Right, do you want to get higher, do you want to grow, or do you want to scale up to the next top position? So end of the day, it's clarity and visibility in how you strategize. Wonderful, Charan. It has been an amazing conversation. I'm sure you would have sown the seeds of why it is important to the audience who are listening to you. And the audience, if you would like to connect with Charan, I'm just flashing Charan's LinkedIn profile QR code here. You can reach out to Charan. He's an amazing conversationalist. So if you have any doubts, clarifications about how can you go about your personal branding, he's the man for you. And if you would like to connect with me, this is my QR code. And with that said, Sharon, we're going to wind up and call it a day today. Now, what's next in Inside Out Conversation? What do you have to tell the audience?
So, what's next is always about what is the next conversation that we are going to have where I'm going to put you in the hot seat, right? So, usually that's how our conversation goes. So, if I remember correctly, the last time we spoke about a very important topic on the gap in confidence. Okay, and I think that's very important for professionals in their personal development, especially if they are in leadership positions. Now, when we talked about a gap in confidence, I want to take the conversation from there and open it up on the topic of intelligence quotient versus emotional quotient. I want to understand the aspects related to both of it, and which one's what and which one's not, and which one's better than the other in the given context. So I want to have a dig into that aspect of it, and probably pick your brain around it and try to see if it's going to make a lot of sense for the people. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I'm very excited. Emotions is a part which makes me very excited because that's a problem I solve for people. So looking forward to have that conversation with you, Charan. And thank you so much for this insights today. I'm looking forward to have the next conversation with you. And the audience, you can follow us with on the Inside Out Conversation channel. We are in different platforms: YouTube, LinkedIn, and in Spotify. So we look forward to adding more value together, me and Charan. Till then, we're signing off. Take care. Bye bye.